In this episode, we are learning about Catholic Charities and two of the programs that they sponsor, Common Earth Gardens and Common Table, and what they do to help welcome new members of our community that have come from around the world and how they use food to bring us all together.
I'm always on the farm, and Lindsey's usually in her kitchen, and so to get us out and inspired by other people is really important.
We aim to educate viewers to learn how to cook from real ingredients for their family and friends. And we also want to encourage viewers to access those ingredients from their local farmers.
There's these beautiful rural landscapes, there's these tiny little towns, and I'm ready to explore them, and I'm ready to see what they're cooking and what's growing in their gardens.
I'm excited to visit Common Table today, meet Laura, who helps run the program, and then also meet Chef Hank, who is going to teach a knife skills class. Tell me exactly what Common Table is.
So we are a culinary arts training program. We work with people that face barriers to employment because like a lack of education, or maybe someone was being laid off and they needed to develop a new set of job skills. The culinary and food service industry is something that has a low barrier to entry, so it's something that you can start off with little experience and go in and put in a lot of hard work and really have an opportunity to advance and build a successful career for yourself and be able to support a family.
So I'm looking forward to learning in the kitchen. We're gonna learn knife skills and just really how a catering kitchen works.
We spend a lot of time focusing on food safety and sanitation because that's really the critical knowledge that anyone needs to be working in a kitchen.
Ohomni.
Hi, Lindsey. Nice to meet you.
Martisha, I'm Maggie.
I'm Lindsey.
Now, how fast is a chef trying to see one cut a carrot?
Well, start out with safety is more important than speed.
Yes, definitely.
Okay? So we want people to keep their fingers. That looks perfect, okay? Next thing we're going to do is onions.
Do we need tissues?
Maybe. So dicing onions is probably what you'll do more than any single thing in a restaurant. Okay, then when we get to the end, we can lay it down and we have a nice solid flat surface and just do our dices that way. So dice means precise, and chop means slop.
This one.
No, a cookie.
We sell food through lunches and catering. So if you're having a meeting or an event, give us a call. We'd be happy to provide food for you. It gives our students an opportunity to continue learning and working on their skills. And all of that revenue is reinvested back into the program and helps us operate a more sustainable program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you want a cookie? 2 cookies.
There's a huge need in the industry right now for people in all kinds of positions, and so the Kentucky Restaurant Association's really reached out to us and said, hey, when you have graduates, we will help get them placed. And so having that support on that side is critical for us.
Chef's been teaching me how to cut vegetables and how to bake quiche. I didn't know how to make that, and just all different types of tips. And of course, sifting flour is important as well.
Where did your love of baking come from?
I've been baking since I was a kid with my grandmother and my aunt. The church that I belong to, I had started baking pies to take to different functions, and so they would have me to make them. And so I said, I can do this for a living. So then that's when I started incorporating cakes instead of just doing the pies. And
Yes.
Through what she's learned at Common Table, they've given her knowledge into financing and what makes sense in terms of the actual practicalities of running a business.
I make it pretty, I make it smooth, and I put my own creation to it. I put my own little twist. Just do it the way that you want to, make it your kind of pretty.
Food always unites. That's kind of how we got our name, Common Table, because you can sit down with 6 people or 60 people and find common things to talk about.
A vegan that doesn't eat salad. I don't know if I've ever met one.
I know that's what a lot of people
I don't leave her out. I always make her something.
Oh my gosh.
Last week I made her
fried radishes and fried eggplant and baked squash.
That's
Roasted
so
squash.
nice, yeah.
What has been the most like valuable lessons you've taken away from here?
You learn a lot of patience in the kitchen, believe it or not, and it helps with everything in life. And then working with others. I feel like they're a family here. It's not just, hey, students and teachers, and we're actually a family, you know, and I love that because it makes you more comfortable. And, you know, when you cook with love, it tastes better.
Yeah.
We purchase our fresh vegetables from Common Earth Gardens, which is a sister program to Common Table.
So through this incubator farm program, we are really trying to support farmers who have been farming their whole lives and are looking for ways to sell their produce in Louisville.
The incubator garden that we visited was in the middle of this industrial park. And so it was this sort of forest of vegetables in the middle of a bunch of concrete.
We do a winter class series, so all the
nice.
incubator farmers attend class every 2 weeks
Okay.
from February to April, and then they're ready for the growing season to start and markets to start. So Mohammed has invited us to harvest some of the okra from his plot.
It's very nice of him.
He runs the Malambo farm.
There's some great green onions.
They grow the most beautiful green onions
Yeah,
here.
it's really smart because they're shading it with the
Uh-huh.
okra. That's brilliant. Taking that one home.
Many of them would come up to the space and be like, I could take care of this whole property by myself and run my
Yeah.
farm. But since we're more limited with land here within the city, they're learning how to grow a lot more in very tight spaces.
So how many different cultures are represented throughout all the different gardens?
We have a lot from Burundi, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burma. The list goes on.
My mom and dad were originally from Somalia, but we moved to Kenya. That's where I was born, and we didn't really have the best living conditions, so we thought we could make a life here in America. She says she feels more at home here than she did back in Africa. In Africa, it was just like, you would get help, but people were more focused on their own gardens. Here, she gets plenty of support, and she loves the people that help her. They helped my dad find so many other farmers markets, and I'm very grateful for that.
While Maggie's been at Common Earth Gardens, I've been thinking about our meal, and I'm excited to meet up with her at the farmer's market and source some of the ingredients that we need and shop together.
So I really enjoyed the atmosphere of Gray Street Farmers Market. It's in the middle of downtown, and one thing I love about them is they take food stamps and SNAP, and they even double down your bucks, and so $1 can actually equal $2 in vegetables.
These will have the same flavor profile, right?
Oh yeah.
Hi, how are you? And you have some eggs, I see.
I don't know, we're mixed colors.
Mixed color's great. Those look plenty big, yeah. Thank you. We got some wonderful vegetables at the market, and as we head into cook, I'm just really reflecting on how important cooking lessons and classes have been to me in my own life and career. It makes me that much more appreciative of what Common Table is doing and offering to their students. Well, I was really pumped to see the eggplant because I had plans for caponata today. It's a stewed down eggplant tomato dish. It's got a little sweet, a little sour variety going. And it's perfect for summer. It's just, it takes advantage of everything that the garden's giving to us right now. So we can go ahead and each start cutting down these eggplants, put to use some of these knife skills that we learned at Common Table.
Yes,
from
I'm
Chef.
holding my knife.
Yes.
See, your knife fits my hand a lot better.
Yes, and I think, when you get a knife, I really did go and try all of them.
Oh, really? Okay, so you test them all
Yeah,
out.
you
I
go
like
test
that.
them because everybody's hand's a little different.
Do you put the top on?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're gonna put the top on at the end. So, all right, I'm gonna keep it at about a medium to medium low.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting retested now.
I know, you're doing a great job.
I hope I make Chef proud. I'm turning this bowl into my compost bowl.
Perfect.
When you compost, you just want to make sure there's plenty of room for air to circle through And then also you don't really want critters to get to it if you live in a neighborhood. And so there are containers that work really well that you can stir up and use that way. Out at the farm, we honestly just do like loose piles. So it's just like a big pile of what looks like vegetable scraps at first and then turns into this gorgeous, rich, hummus-filled dirt.
You get to put right back into the earth. That's awesome.
I always like to add a little manure to my compost because I have plenty of it, being on a cattle farm.
Do people come and take any excess manure you have for their compost?
Not that I'm aware of, but we could have some manure thieves.
Could do that. Well, there you go. So I'm going to work on mincing up this garlic to throw in, but I'm also, in the meantime, just going to do a quick stir on our eggplant to make sure it's browning and not sticking. And it looks beautiful. So we're going to give it just like a couple more minutes, and then we're going to take that out and finish off the second batch. You'll find some recipes where they want you to saute every individual ingredient separately. I think the celery, the garlic, and the onion kind of already are part of a traditional trinity of cooking. You can add like some toasted pine nuts on top at the end for some crunch.
I'm crying.
Yeah. That happens. That happens. Nobody cried in class the other day.
I know, I was shocked. I was definitely welling up, like trying to act like I wasn't. Going back to your comment of putting these together, if I put garlic in a pan by itself, immediately burns.
Yes, exactly.
But if I have it with the onions and the celery, I feel like it's a lot less likely.
Yes.
I love the color of the deep purple that it turns.
I know. So it's still warm. We're gonna go ahead and add more olive oil because again, the eggplant was greedy and took it all. And now we're gonna add in our beautiful aromatics all at the same time. Put it over a medium-low heat, and we're also gonna add just a little bit of salt.
Okay.
That will help, the salt will help it sweat, the onions begin to sweat, everything sort of start to get tender. And while you're over there, if you want to grab the tomato bowl.
So the tomatoes this season have been incredible. We've had a good amount of rain on and off, and so they've been really juicy and flavorful. So it's been fun to sort of taste the season that we've had through the tomatoes. Yeah, so they can actually start to taste a bit watery.
Yeah.
So you never want to harvest right after a rain. I mean, I know that's not always possible, being you got farmer's market on Saturday, so you need a harvest, but.
Well, and in Kentucky, we're just, you never know what your weather's gonna bring, right? Okay, well, we're just gonna let the tomatoes start to break down a little bit. Then it's gonna come back over, and it's time to put all the final touches in. That looks beautiful. All right, so now we're just gonna finish everything off. We get our sour from some red wine vinegar. Okay. We're just gonna pour that in. That's about 1.5 tablespoons. We're gonna make sure things stay nice and salty and briny. You've noticed we haven't added that much salt so far. We're gonna add these capers, which have a great salty quality to them. And then we're also adding some green Sicilian olives. So those have, yes, a nice salty kick. And then a little bit of sugar.
Oh, the colors are so gorgeous. Those olives really pop.
You could definitely cut the olives down a little bit if you want. I think they look so pretty. We're just gonna do it over low heat and just kind of allow it all to simmer. Pop the lid on top. One of the things I love most about cooking is learning from others and the different traditions that they have taken from wherever it is they're from, be it down the road here in Kentucky or from Nigeria, where Ohomni's from. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so appreciative.
I'm honored to be here.
So Ohomni is going to teach us how to make the fish stew from Nigeria. It has a lot of vegetables within it in addition to the fish. I think it's going to be a really nice meal. How did you find out about Common Table?
Each time I make a food, people that taste it, they say, Brownie, you need to open a eat treats where people can come and buy what you serve. So that landed me on a Common Table. And I'm so happy to meet such generous people. I think Common Table is the right place to learn the language of kitchen here.
And have you enjoyed working with Chef?
He is a good teacher.
Yeah.
He is a good teacher.
Very patient.
So is this stew that we're making today for a special occasion?
We do this to welcome our in-laws, but sometimes people like to make it every day because it's medicinal.
It was a dish that was meant to introduce two families together. So what better way to learn than from someone who actually has experienced cooking this in those traditions?
We start by putting the onions and the red pepper and the green pepper.
This seasoning is a blend, onion powder and garlic, turmeric, and we've mixed in a little bit of Maggie's red pepper flakes from the garden. We want all the shrimp and the cod to go in at the same time.
The fish first.
Now, what sort of fish would you buy from the fishermen in Nigeria?
We buy croaker, you know croaker? Croaker fish. It's basically high sea fish.
Well, it's smelling fantastic. The shrimp look beautiful and pink. So when do we know that this is done? We've added, it looks like everything that we prepped. Are there any other ingredients that go into this?
This is all we need.
It's really good.
That's so good.
I think it's often easier for us to see differences in one another rather than that there's far more similarities than there are differences. And I really appreciate getting to know Ohomni, learning from him, and sharing the traditions of his culture. There's an abundance of fresh herbs right now on the farm, so we're gonna pair that and make a homemade aioli to dip our fried okra in. Aioli, or mayo, is egg and oil.
Okay.
I like to separate my eggs just in my hand. What do you usually do? You use
I use the two shells.
I feel like there's just sharp edges there, but whatever works for you. So the oils we have in here, we have about a 1/4 cup of olive oil and then 3 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. So we've got some oil that has flavor to it, but then we've also got a neutral oil mixed in. You want to stop for just a second. So this is a good example of, you can see how it's kind of separating. So if that starts to happen, you just stop, spend some time just whisking, see how it's coming together now, how it's smoother now. So we'll keep adding them.
And what does one do if they're alone?
So it's a little bit more of a workout when you're doing both. See if we need anything else.
Definitely taste that lemon.
Yeah, it's nice and tart. I think it's delicious. And I think they'll complement the okra fantastically.
I believe the only way to eat okra is straight from the garden.
Okay.
One thing I've toyed with a lot this summer is frying it.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited about this batter recipe that I've come up with. It's gluten-free. It's one of those things you want to make though, like right before people come over. Okay, so what we've got here is we have 1/3 cup of rice flour. And then we also have 1/3 cup of cornstarch.
And that probably makes it really crunchy.
Exactly.
Great.
And as you do that, I'm just gonna add a nice little pinch of salt, maybe like a teaspoon or so, and then some crushed red pepper flakes as well.
So like you're adding those red pepper flakes, but you could add all sorts of flavors to this.
Italian seasoning goes really well with this. Some, oregano, sage, thyme, anything like that. And here we have some ice cold sparkling water. So we're gonna add this in.
A love that.
Yeah, you can hear it. And then we're just gonna mix it up and it's all gonna meld together very nicely.
And this would kind of give the same effect of a beer batter as well.
Yes.
Usually, you know, if you have like a breaded fish or something, you use a beer and you get this fuzzy tempura-like batter. So
why don't we go ahead and test out some of this batter?
if it drops just a little bit and then sizzles back up, it's time to fry.
I'm just gonna dip it in the batter and then toss it in.
Woo!
Yeah.
I love it.
Once it starts to look a little brown, I usually start to flip.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do a little salt garnish finish on this.
Let's do it, and then we can try it.
And I think we need to get our aioli.
Okay, let me get that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we dip a little? I love the lemon. It's so good.
It's so crunchy.
It is.
I love it.
Isn't it? This is delicious.
Good job.
Well, we'll just eat this batch.
Yes,
and then
sounds
make
good.
another batch for everyone else.
Yes. So this is our cake, and it's really straightforward. This is just a homemade yellow cake, so sort of like what we grew up with, I feel like, birthday cake, which I love. And then what they had shared with us at Common Table, Chef had said that one of the recipes from one of the Somali farmers was to make a cardamom simple syrup. And then when the cake is warm, you spoon it over top of it, and it just soaks it up. And oh, it just sounded fantastic. So they were making these for, I think, a catering order they had for a party.
Yeah, and we learned, of course, how to decorate.
We did.
Very simple.
Marticia shared that with us, which we so appreciated, her expertise in the baking world.
So there we go. We're gonna just do a little dusting. The people that we met during this episode, they're busy people and they couldn't come to enjoy this meal with us, so we thought what better way than to invite our good friends and share with them what we had learned.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate you all being here. Maggie and I have had a fantastic couple of days learning about Common Table and Common Earth Gardens. I can't imagine what it feels like to move to a new country and face a variety of barriers, language being one of them, possibly finding employment, and just adapting to the culture. And I was really grateful to learn what we can do to be involved in that and to welcome everyone to Kentucky.
So Catholic Charities is really an integral part of this system, welcoming people and also making sure that when people come to this country that they can thrive.